Well, good morning and good day to everybody around the world. Welcome back to the CIB Presidential Seminar Series that we host from Purdue University. And as you know, in this semester, we are covering distinguished speakers from all over the world, particularly those who are leading efforts or regional directors for CIB in the different regions that we have members from. Those of you today also, we have three very distinguished speakers. And before I introduce them, let me give a quick introduction to CIB. Those of you who are not familiar with CIB, it's a global organization that stands for International Council for Research and Innovation in Building and Construction. It has members from 55 plus different countries and has been in existence for past 70 years, bringing together researchers from all over the world and discussing research topics related to the built environment in 40 different, what we call as commissions. So we have working commissions in 40 different topical areas. And if you're interested, please go to the website for getting to know what these 40 commissions are. And I'm sure you're likely to find your area of interest positively listed there. So these commissions, of course, are led by individual researchers, and there's a group of anywhere from 20 to 30 or even more researchers around the world that are interested in that particular commission activities. And these commissions meet regularly, conduct conferences and seminars and other things, and they're all part of the global organization, which is CIB. And CIB comes together in what we call as the World Building Congress, and that happens every 3 years. And in 2025, under my presidency, the World Building Congress is going to be held at Purdue University. I'm sure many of you have submitted your papers, and we look forward to welcoming you there. So with that quick introduction about CIB, let me introduce our distinguished list of speakers. It's not one, it's not two. We have three distinguished speakers today. And first of all, we have Dr. An Le. She's a lecturer in quantity surveying at the School of Built Environment at Massey University. She holds backgrounds and degrees in quantity surveying and construction management. Before joining Massey, she served as a lecturer at Hanoi University of Civil Engineering in Vietnam. Dr. Le is fellow of the Higher Education Academy in UK and is an active member of the CIB Task Group 124 that focuses on net zero carbon building initiatives. Her wide-ranging research interests include construction, whole life cycle costing, promoting well-being within construction sector, advancing construction innovation, stakeholder engagement, and the development of zero carbon buildings. Our second speaker, Sarajul Fikri Mohamed. Dr. Sarajul Fikri Mohamed is an associate professor at the Faculty of Built Environment and Surveying, University of Technology in Malaysia. He specializes in construction innovation and AI. He has over 20 years of industry experience in the UK and Malaysia. He earned his PhD in 2006 from Loughborough University in UK. In 2018, Dr. Sarajul and his team won BQSM Innovation Award, and that is Board of Quantity Surveyors in Malaysia Innovation Award for developing digital technologies to improve cost management in green building projects. His research has secured over RM or Malaysian ringgit 6 million in funding from various industry partners and agencies. Our third speaker is Dr. Rahimi Rahman. He is the Deputy Director of the Innovation and Commercialization Management Center and an Associate Professor of Construction Project Management at University of Malaysia, Pahang, Al-Sultan, Abdullah. He holds a PhD from Arizona State University and degrees in Civil and Environmental Engineering from Saitama University, specializing in digital twins, innovation, and future technologies in construction. He has collaborated with industry partners and contributed to national projects like developing BIM guidelines for Malaysia Highway Authority. Currently, he is involved in policy formulation to foster innovation and economic growth. We have a very interesting seminar from these three distinguished speakers today, talking about the sustainability efforts and circular economy in the Asian region. As you all know, Asian region includes 10 different countries. And so this is going to be a very fascinating seminar. Let me hand it over to our speakers. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So can I share my screen now? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Can you all see my slide?
Not yet.
Okay. Share it again.
And while we are transitioning, I want to point out that Professor Lay is coming all the way from New Zealand, and the time there is 2:30 a.m. So we really appreciate her taking that time. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you very much, Mark, for your invitation and also for the introduction. We really appreciate that. Our presentation topic today is about collaboration initiative for circular economy towards sustainable construction in ASEAN region. We have three speakers, as you know, so I will begin by providing an overview of ASEAN context and also the CIB activity in ASEAN with some kind of research topic of existing CIB member in the region, and followed by some climate change impact and the role of the construction industry in the region. Following my presentation, Dr. Sarajul will present some insight about his research group activity, focusing on whole life cycle costing towards sustainability. And then Dr. Rahimi will introduce the research activity in his research group and also discuss some potential collaboration idea for future collaboration. All right, so currently the CIB representation in ASEAN from some university and institution in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So we are eager to invite you to join our group. So we are eager to invite the member from all ASEAN countries to join our ASEAN member of CIB group. The ASEAN member of CIB group are actively involved in different working commission and also task group of CIB. So on the screen is an overview of some research topic conducted by the CIB member in the region. As you can see that we have the project management, cost management, BIM, digital twin, low carbon design, adaptive reuse, climate change research, and many more. The ASEAN members of CIB group has recently formed, and we are coordinator of the group. We have different background, research interests, but we share a common vision and a common goal, which are to support the existing CIB members in the region, to raise the profiles of CIB in the region, to connect with the stakeholder and researcher in the region, and to promote the research collaboration in the region. So if you are interested in join the group, please reach out to us or please fill the form provided. I will share the link to the chat box, and please share the link with the network as well. Now move to the topic of the central topic of today's presentation. So why circular economy is critical for our region? So as you may know that the ASEAN stands for the Association of Southeast Asia Nation, include 10 nation, 10 countries, so which is established in 1967 by Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. So later, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, Brunei joined, so line up with 10 member states today. And the goal of the association is to improve the economic growth, the stability, the social development in the region. So the ASEAN, the ASEAN region with the combined population over 685 million people, and also with the diverse, you can see from the graph that economically it is diverse. So in the region there are some the very developed countries such as Singapore, and also there are some emerging economies such as Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia. And due to its location, the region is highly vulnerable to climate change impact. The Myanmar, Vietnam, Philippines, and Thailand were in the top 10 of most affected by extreme climate change during 1990 to 2080. And many countries in the region have the long coastal line and numerous islands, which, of the risks due to the rising sea level, which can lead to flooding and displacement of the communities. So recent event, the Typhoon Yagi in September 2024 hit Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar, and it caused extensive damage in the region. So with the more frequent extreme weather event raise the need for the region to prepare for the future climate change impact. So as you can see that many countries in the region have set the net zero target by 2050, and also for the construction industry, they have developed the roadmap for kind of using the low carbon material, or to promote the energy efficiency to help to reduce the environmental impact of the construction industry. And recently the ASEAN Association has published the ASEAN State of Climate Change Report, which propose some recommendation for the region to act together to mitigate an adaptation with the climate change impact. However, this is the result shown from the climate change action tracker, so showing that many countries in the region still the policy and the action still at the overall rating still as a critical insufficient. So only Singapore and Philippines, the overall rating, their overall rating is insufficient. So we raise the urgent need that the country in the region need to, to come up with the more action to prepare for the future climate change impact. Yes, so when it comes to the construction sector, we can see that the construction sector in the region, the growth rate of the construction sector is 7%, and the construction sector is one of the okay, and the construction sector in the region also driven by the a huge investment in infrastructure and urban development in some countries such as Indonesia or Vietnam. And we know that the construction sector is responsible for around 40% of the carbon emission and around 1/3 of the total waste. Therefore, the construction sector, the construction sector need to come up with the need to apply some kind of the principle to help to mitigate the climate change impact. So on the screen is some kind of model for circular economy principle in the construction to mitigate the climate change impact. And the ASEAN member group of CIB also proposed some research idea for potential collaboration in the future, including we hope that we can investigate the sustainable construction practice in ASEAN region. Also, we want to identify the challenge and opportunity of circular economy in the built environment in the region, or we would like to examine the advanced technology to enhance circular economy in the built environment in the region, or how to balance the whole life carbon and whole life cycle costing of the zero carbon building project. And we would like to investigate the policy framework and incentive in different countries to have kind of, you know, lesson learned and best practice to share with the to share across the country. So if you are interested in joining the group and also you're interested in the topic that we are working on, please feel free to reach out to us. And in the next presentation, Dr. Sarajul and Dr. Rahimi will provide some insight of their research activity focusing on whole life cycle costing and also apply digital twin to help to promote the sustainability in the region. Thank you very much. And Dr. Sarajul, over to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. An Le from Messi University. And as a second presenter for today's session, I would like to thanks to CIB, especially our beloved and respected president, Professor Mark from Purdue University. And today I would like to share with you our research activities or research works that we undertaken last few years, which is related to whole life cycle costing and also how we relate with sustainability. Because for your information, in Malaysia, our government, especially government of Malaysia, they are very focused in terms of the SDG, okay, Sustainable Development Goal, and also now government policy they try to promote on the ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance. Okay, they started with this multinational company, and then after that, the second phase to the SME, small medium enterprise in Malaysia. Okay, I would like to share my slide and then to share our experience in conducting research related to whole life cycle costing in Malaysia. Okay, hang on. Can you see my slides? Oh. Can you see my slide, Dr. N?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. The presentation is entitled Whole Life Cycle Costing, or WLCC approach to support sustainable construction in Malaysia. I divided my presentation into four main sections. The first section, I will introduce to you the what is the current or global construction industry and how we can integrate the research of the whole life cycle costing in our industry, especially the construction industry, and sustainability, and I will focus on the environmental sustainability. And I would like to share in next agenda, which is case study 1, WLCC approach for private highway project in Malaysia. And then the next case study is on we develop, which is as a standard method of measurement for carbon reporting. We integrate with the carbon reporting because almost all materials related in construction industry related to the carbon footprint. All right. If you can see here, okay, based on our data here, in 2030, the prediction of construction market worldwide is around $17.5 trillion, okay, which is the cost we predicted every year, which is the 3.4% annual growth in terms of the yearly growth, okay. And according to McKinsey report, construction sector is one of the largest in the world economy, with about 10 trillion spent on construction-related goods and services every year. This is, you can see the significance of the construction, which is labor-intensive, resources-intensive, and also it impacted to our environment. And then this is the market size, as I mentioned to you, keep increasing every year. And then average is around 3.4% annual growth. Okay. And the problem, this is the problem, the characteristic of the construction industry. If you can see my slide here, which is a huge amount of the financial investment, and they need what we call a good performance delivery and project objective. And as I mentioned earlier in the previous slide, resource driven. Okay, we use a lot of the labor, materials, and machinery. And in terms of the construction project management, more complicated due to the dynamic nature of the industry and high demand of our client, especially to increase the profit, to maintain their profit, and etc. And then this is keep challenge our construction industry players. Okay, we're using different tools and etc. We're using value engineering, what we call a Green Building Index, LEED, in order for us to maintain and to keep our environment safe, and also to keep our environment, improve our environment. Okay. And in terms of the whole life cycle costing, I think this is not a new approach or not a new method, but I think started in 1980s, okay, last 40 years, which is a systematic economic evaluation life cycle cost over or of a period of analysis defined in the agreed scope. This is what defined by a British Standard Institute, okay? And according to Bosbin, the WSCC is to transform the estimated capital, maintenance, operating, and replacement costs into comparable single form of the figure, which allow the consideration of this item for expenditure at different stage within the time scale. And according to Bosbin, WLCC is a very good methodology to compare with a proper value of that particular material, design, and etc. Okay, and then if you can see here, in Malaysia, what we found in Malaysia, LCC or WLCC here used by the government for the PFI, which is a private finance initiative scheme, which is one of the document or exercise need to be undertaken before the government approve the budget or approve the project. Okay, this is one of the practice in Malaysia, which is under PFI project, we need to calculate the initial cost and also the cost in use. Okay, we need to submit to the owner or to the client, especially the government client, in order for them to make a decision. This is the regulation or the instruction by the government in Malaysia. Okay, and then this is the second things, which is under WICC, we also need to consider the sustainability. Okay, combination of WICC and sustainability will provide a good business performance delivery. for the construction project. Okay, sustainability here, what we can define the sustainability here is the capacity to maintain a certain process or state indefinitely. Okay, in Malaysia, we have a lot of tropical jungles. We have a lot of river and beautiful beaches and stuff. We try to minimize the impact to our environmental. Okay, in terms of the ecological context, in terms of the social context, and also in terms of the economic context. Okay, we consider every single context of the sustainability. And currently, the research in Malaysia for the environmental sustainability, first on the pollution control, pollution prevention, and for the low carbon economy. This is the main research undertaken in Malaysia to promote the sustainability agenda in Malaysia. Right? And then again, this is supported by the government, which is we always use this value metric from waste to wealth, okay, which is from the problem become a solution. Okay, this is what we promote, which is, for example, from dangerous using the technology more become a wealth desirable. Okay, this is what the technology or the materials and etc. We try to make sure that the metric from waste to wealth, and then if, for example, the research we conduct the research related to this value metric, we can get a fully support of a grant from the government, also the private sector in Malaysia. Okay, I would like to share with you the WSCC approach, our research, which is we undertaken last 2 or 3 years, which is we use this approach to determine and evaluate project viability of private highway project in Malaysia. In Malaysia, about 60% or 70% of highway, which is highway infrastructure, built by the private sector. Okay, built by the private sector, and then they give a proposal, including WSCC report, before they get approval from our unit, which is what we call a private and government partnership unit, which is they need to get approval from this technical unit, right? And this is one of the example, which is the private highway in Malaysia. We built, which is a interurban highway, intra-urban highway, and also highway within the province or state in the Malaysia. Okay, this is one of the example. Okay, and then if you can see here, okay, privatization of highway started since 1985, which is become an important machine for economic growth. Okay, we understand and we anticipate by provide proper infrastructure, it will support the economic growth in a certain area of the development in Malaysia. And then 515 privatized project, which is involved the transportation, road, highway, healthcare, and energy sector in Malaysia. And then total length for privatized highway is around 1,642. And then the total cost is around 41.34 billion. Okay, this is the cooperation between the government and private. We provide better facilities or infrastructure to the people in Malaysia. Okay, and then introduced in first outline, okay, in 1978, and then major highway started, and then in 2020, and then after that, okay, we're using what we call PFI PPP model. Okay, this is a example. We have around 30 private highway in Kuala Lumpur only, around 30 private highway in Kuala Lumpur only, and then all built by the private and supported by the government, which is the highway here. Okay, what in our research we investigate what is the trend of the WSCC, which is involved the operation cost, maintenance cost, traffic volume, and then from this cost, and then we can see the project viability. Okay, from the data we collected from 11 private highway in Malaysia, we do the statistical analysis, and using the LCC technique, which is we formulate the NPV and IRR, we found that a very good data in terms of the WACC of that particular highway. Okay, the research, for example, here, this is the data from project one, which is privatization project number one. If you can see here, okay, the data here, the cost for maintenance, operation, and toll collection. If you can see here, okay, okay, the break even is around for the project number one. The break even is around year 10. Okay, for project number two, which is a private highway. For project number two, we collected data from the project number two. The break even is at the year 15. Okay, this is based on the real data on site, and then based on the whole life cycle costing analysis, this is what we found for the highway number two. Okay, for number three, okay, the break even is at the uh, year 17. Okay, year 17, and then for project number four, the break even is at the year 14. Okay, at the year 14. This is what we identified in the data that we collected throughout the project. Number five, okay, year 15. Okay, year 15 here, and project six is at the year 10. Okay, it depends to the nature of the project, the parameter design, and then environmental parameter, how they build and how they operate and maintain. Different highway, they have different parameters, which is technical parameters and also the commercial parameters. Okay, and then finally, okay, this is the commercial evaluation, which is involve the life cycle costing, construction cost, operation cost, maintenance cost, and then the project IR, and also impacted the collection, the traffic volume. Okay, the traffic volume here, and then we have this technical evaluation here. For example, here social impact, EIA impact, design concept, and also the land acquisition also need to be considered whether that particular project viable or not. Okay, and then interesting, when we integrate with this, what we call another government initiative, which is on the sustainability, what we found in our research is for the operation phase, if we started the operation, we found that using these sustainability parameters, it will give benefits to the client in terms of the cost benefit, which is can longer the what we call the cost of operation and maintenance based on the data that we shows in this graph. Okay, this is for our research findings. We found that it is a very important for us to integrate the sustainability parameters in any development of the private PPP PFI project. This is from our research work. Okay, number two is currently completed our research in Malaysia, which is for we develop the standard method of measurement development for total cost management. Okay, this is for focusing on the building and also not infrastructure, for the building works in Malaysia. Okay, what we develop here is based on the in Malaysia, we have a standard way of measure the materials, the equipments, and also the equipments, material, and the manpower using a proper standard method of measurement. For example, here we started in 1960, and then we update. We based on the situation, based on the need of the design, introduction of the beam, etc. And finally, at year 2024, we completed, which is what we call the Malaysian Standard Method of Measurement, which is we consider the following. Okay, for the cost data analytics, we consider the carbon reporting and also the standard compliant for the building. Okay, for the materials, building material, all need to be considered in our SMM development. Okay, and then our development of the SMM, we benchmark with the ICMS, which is International Cost Management Standard, which is under World Economic Forum. Okay, so World Economic Forum, they provide international cost management standard, and now published in 2021. ICMS is to provide global consistency in presenting construction life cycle cost and carbon emission. This is a document that we refer, and then from this document we align with Malaysian practice, which is our practice in managing cost of the material of the equipment in construction industry in Malaysia. Okay, which is we include the LCC and carbon emission calculation. Right. Okay, and then data analysis and integration using this new standard, which is more tabulated format. We can do a standard coding, which is we can using the AI technology, which is data analytics and integration between all the materials, all the work section inside our standard method of measurement. Okay, and key features that we develop for here. Okay, the first one is a coding system to improve our efficiency, and then coding also we integrate with the carbon reporting framework. Okay, which is from here the owner or the client have the flexibility to calculate the carbon reporting based on the requirement of the client. Okay, because all the detail measurement, detail quantification, we can track all the material used in that particular project or that particular building design. And then also to enhancing FM and asset procurement practices, especially for operation and maintenance, using our SMM3 around 60% of the FM and asset procurement can be undertaken or can be quantified using this new standard method of measurement. Okay, and then this is our benchmark. Okay, we investigate the CA Uniclass from UK. Okay, the SFB, the Swedish classification system, the American Uniclass, okay, the Singapore and also the Australian national specification system. We compare, and then based on the local practice, we develop our own context, which is related to Malaysian construction industry context. Okay, and then this is the committee that involved in the development, which is involved the Institution of Engineers, okay, Association of Consulting Engineers, the Architect Association, and also the Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia. Okay, we benchmark. The first step we will benchmark with Hong Kong, because we found that Hong Kong is one of the country similar characteristic with Malaysia, and then in Hong Kong, it is compulsory for government project to prepare a detailed bill of quantity for every single element of the building works in Hong Kong construction industry, not the private, but the government sponsored building. Okay, government building. Okay, and then involve various industry, which is not only the QS but also architect, engineers, and also the consultant engineers. Okay, and then we engage with the government agency, which is the sponsor of the project. Okay, sponsor, and also the Department of QS and Contract, Department of Public Works Department in Malaysia. Okay, this is the coding system we're using. Using BIM, artificial intelligence, the coding is very important. Okay, therefore we start to the coding in order for us to trace all the materials, all the document based on the coding system. Okay, this is we code it. Okay, and then tabulated format, and then we can also do this what we call for the 3D models. Okay, for 3D model, for example, for the electrical installation, this is the minimum requirement in your 3D model needed or need to be included in the in this what we call in your 3D or 4D or 5D model. This is the minimum requirement that we need. Okay, and then every single equipment or devices or material that used in the building, for example here, you can trace easily using this what we call this tabulated format. Okay, I think this is similar in UK and also in Australia. They are using the same tabulated format. Okay, and then finally what we can conclude here. Okay, first one, we benchmark international practice because all the countries, all the standard in all over the world, they are using a standard format of international cost management, which is as agreed in the World Economic Forum, which is we started to follow the same standard, okay? And then we use the coding, and then we also include the carbon reporting in our standard, and hopefully the client and also the consultant that involved in project in Malaysia, they can take advantage of calculate the carbon, which is carbon footprint. You can calculate all the materials that used for the carbon reporting in order to give a proper justification in each project. Okay, and then this is a award that we won last year, which is we compete in the Seoul International Invention Festival 2013. Okay, in this project, and then we won also at the national level. Okay, thank you for today, and then thank you for your kind attention. Okay, back to Dr. N.
Thank you, Dr. Sarajul. I think now is time for Dr. Rahimi. Over to you, please.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Thank you for joining this session. So thank you to CIB for hosting this session, and so for the invitation, President Professor Mark for the kind introduction, and also Dr. N for initiating this activity. Okay, so yeah, so I will present about what my group do, CIRJ, or Construction Industry Research Group in UMPSA, University of Malaysia Pahang Al-Sultan Abdullah. Because why? Because my field is actually not circular economy, but I really support this initiative of CIB to do this networking, and also maybe this future collaboration. Why? Because most of it is because based on my short almost 3 years position at the Research and Innovation Department in the university, I see that there's a need for us to collaborate, not only internally in the university or nationally, but also internationally. So that's why I really support it. So that's why I'm here today. But don't worry, later we also have one of our group members, Dr. Lee Yong Xiang. He will share a bit about circular economy based on his research, because he's also part of our group. Okay, so yeah, this about me. I think Professor Mark has shared a bit just now. Okay, so in our group we have 8 people, and then our main research areas are as you can see here. So for me, I'm more on decision management, but because when I did my PhD, I focused on BIM, so I focus more on decision management related to BIM, related to digital twin. So as shared by Professor Mark, I've been involved a bit with the policy making, also about on the BIM roadmap for Malaysia, the guideline for Malaysia Highway Authority and others. But my research is more on decision management. And then in our group, we also have on occupational safety and health, water resource management, contract management, built environment, project scheduling, circular economy, led by Dr. Yong Xiang Lee, also modular construction. Okay, and so just want to share. Okay, I will share my points later why I'm sharing all of this. Yeah, so I've entered UMPSA around 6 years ago. And then until now, these are within our research group, these are some of the universities that we collaborate now. Okay, so there are some from many parts of the world, from the US, from the UK, Japan, Saudi, okay, India, and many more. Okay, also there are some also industry collaborators, and also industry sponsors for our studies. So we also have quite a good number of postgraduate students, around 40, from many countries: Sri Lanka, Libya, Egypt, Syria, Bangladesh, Yemen. Okay, and then we as a group we try to develop several outputs to as part of the studies. But I think based on what we will discuss today, I think it's better for us to try to strategize a bit and try to arrange a bit so the output will be not only can be used in Malaysia but can be used at least in ASEAN countries too. Okay, so that's a part also of the intention for me joining this session. So let's say the outputs by our group, including decision support tools for that. For example, let's say to choose the project delivery. Let's say between design bid build, and also to choose construction technologies depending on the mission of the company's assessment tools to see whether a construction project is managing the environmental well or not, and then some contract clauses to improve the situation in Malaysia, and also cost estimators for different types of projects. So we try, in the end, we try to develop tools to develop outputs that can be used. So it's not only theoretical, it's not only for the papers, but it's also can be used by the practitioners. So that's the intention of the group right now. So like some other members, I'm not the expert, or I'm not well versed. So let's say they develop flat assessment tool, flat risk tools. So that's part of our group too. Okay. But yeah, I'll continue my point later. But Dr. Lee will share a bit on circular economy in construction industry based on our research here in Malaysia. So maybe Dr. Lee, are you there?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and also thank you, Dr. Rahimi, for me to share a bit for circular economy in construction industry. Okay, so currently I'm part of the group, and my main research is actually focused in circular economy. Okay, so for your information, in construction industry, up to the date, okay, there is approximately 33% of natural resources has been extracted, and also approximately 25% of solid waste generated, and also the contributions to global warming in construction industry is counted as 37%, which is actually very high. Because currently we still have very high numbers of linear economies models compared to circular economy models being implemented in construction industry. Okay, next. Okay, so currently our group actually trying to integrate the R strategies into circular economy in construction industry. So conventionally, we actually have 3R principles. Everyone will know about 3R principles. For example, reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay, but now we actually extended into 10R strategies, which actually divided into 3 different phases: design phase, consumption phase, and also end of life phase. Okay, so for example, in design phase, we have refuse, rethink, and reduce. So for example, let's say if we want to choose the construction materials, okay, so we're not only thinking about reduce or maybe reuse, recycle, but we also have the option to refuse to use it. Okay, if let's say it's not sustainable, then we can refuse to use it. Okay, in consumption phase, we have reuse, repair, refurbish, remanufacture, repurpose. Okay, and also the end of life, we have recycles or recover. We try to recover. And if all of this not fulfilled, we are going to landfill. Okay, so which we do not prefer this option. Okay, because we know that if let's say we go into landfill, we cannot turn the landfill into other purpose. Okay, for example, like the land use or anything. So the landfill will getting higher and higher, and then it's just there, and we cannot do anything about that. So we try to reduce about that. So the main target of CE is to minimize the environmental, economic, and social impacts in sustainability. Okay, and I'll further explain next slide. Okay, so based on our study, okay, we actually have found some unique critical success factors compared to previous studies for CE implementation in construction industry. So for example, university industry collaborations in curriculum development and research, okay, where actually this is important because now the gaps between universities and also the industry is getting smaller and smaller. And I believe that this will actually contribute to construction industry, because all these graduates are going to contribute to carry out the circular economy practice in construction industry. And also, for example, positive willingness to pay. Okay, we also want to make sure that contractors or the developers that implementing CE is actually by willingness to pay and it's not by force. So we want to share about what are the benefits of the CE. Okay, maybe next. And that's why just now I mentioned about the 3 pillars of sustainability. We have environmental, economic, and also social. But up to the date, based on the research, we can see that a lot of researchers carry about environmental, economic, but the social indicators are being neglected. So this is actually very important because, for example, the social indicators findings that we have, one of the examples that you can see from the graph is like social well-being and stability. Okay, this actually contribute to quality of life. We want to educate the people to know, like in the construction industry, the players to know that social well-being and stability can be achieved, okay, when you are practicing CE. Okay, instead of just greenwashing the CE, because now we can also see a lot of corporate claims that I'm go green, I'm going go green, and I have practiced circular economy. But in fact, they have to know what is the concept behind the CE. So for example, I'm taking an example like, let's say you're talking about a product. So when you choose a product, yes, the product maybe can be recycled. But then what about the manufacturers' machines that manufacture that materials? Is that really sustainable? So there's a question that will actually lies in, in many researchers and also construction industry players. So this is one of our findings, that social indicators. And also next, we have the strategies. Okay, so this is strategies to integrate the social indicators into CE framework. So for example, you can see from the first one, integration, we have the equity and inclusion, okay, which means that we want all parties to be equated and then included into these developments of CE framework. When we actually practice, okay, it's not only the top levels know about CE, but we want to integrate because the implementation is still very low. Okay, although we have a lot of policies, strategies, but the implementation is still very low. So that's why we found out that it's very important for us to integrate these social indicators, and definitely this will actually help the policymakers to integrate into the CE framework as a whole. So these are the few examples that we can. So for example, like long-term vision as well. Okay, so I think that's all about my sharing for this section. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lee. Yeah, for sharing. I'll just continue. Okay, so this is what we have been collaborating. So some of the arrangement that we have done as within our group members and also with others. So for example, we coordinated some paper writing. So this is not only in our university, but we did also from some academics from our university. We write papers together and publish together. Okay, so this is one what we did until now. Another one, for example, when we do a study in Malaysia, then there are some friends or some network or contactors us that the idea is interesting. How about we do in their country? So we do another, maybe we just consider as case study in that country and then try to publish together. And then when we have data from multiple countries, we also try to compare between the different countries. So for example, between different income countries with different income levels. Okay, and then we also try to submit proposals together to some university, to some funder. Okay, so this, although we collaborated bit by bit to write papers, to submit proposals. Okay, one of the issue that I see is very hard. Okay, so if we academics, we want to work at 20, 30 more years, it will be very hard for us to move individually. Okay, for example, one of the latest call for proposal from EU, from European Horizon, is they want 2 universities from the EU and then 2 universities from ASEAN. Okay, but to apply for that grant, there need to be some historical research together. okay, and to arrange such historical research to apply for such grant, I mean, it's very hard. So for to apply. So if we don't start now, maybe later when there are such calls, we cannot apply. Most of the time we can only apply within our university or sometimes nationally. But when we want to go international, when we want to go to the more impactful research, it will be harder if we don't do together. As for example, today, okay, so my field, so each of us have our own expertise. Okay, I focus more, let's say, on digital, on decision management, and also on more on BIM. But there are, let's say, Dr. Lee just now, it's more on circular economy. So when we do it together, we can create a better research and more impactful research towards the towards practice and also towards the community. Okay, so that's why the intention, from my understanding, that after this CIB will be a platform. They want to support us. We can use CIB as a platform for us, ASEAN members of CIB, to connect, to do research together, to do future collaboration, to submit proposals, to seminars, guest lecture, or many more. Okay, so I support that. So hopefully, if you are interested and you want to try, I mean, from us, let's try. We see what happens, and hopefully it goes well. Then we move forward together. And it doesn't go well, then I mean, there are many people in the group. I mean, in the CIB. Okay, I think that's all from my side. Maybe we can pass back to Dr. Ann or Professor Hasta. Thank you. Stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rahimi and Dr. Sarajul. I think that's the end of our presentation today, Mark. And over to you, please.
Thank you very much. That was just wonderful listening to all of you. And I want to thank all four of you for jumping in and covering, it's a broad region, 10 countries, and it looks like a lot of good work is going on. So I would really encourage and support your efforts in forming the group in Asian countries. And I think that would be an excellent regional efforts in bringing all researchers together in the built environment. And of course, you're networked in the larger CIB organization also. So that only benefits everybody who participates. So thank you again. I really support your mission in this case. But let me open the floor. I'm sure people are waiting to ask questions. So let me open the floor for questions. Anybody? I cannot see everybody on my screen, so please open your mic and ask your question. So while people are thinking about formulating their question, let me throw in my question. So let's get the ball rolling here. So and let me start with you, all of you. I was just jotting down questions, so let's see how far we go into that. But you were talking about, you started off the discussion about circular economy, and what I often see is that in Asian countries and generally over Asia predominantly, there's a lot of recycling efforts that is part of the culture in many ways in reusing material as best as possible. But over the years with synthetic material and primarily plastics and other things, that culture is diminishing to my understanding. And I was wondering that in bringing back efforts of circular economy, how is that being integrated into the entire planning process? So indigenous methods of circular economy, if I may use that word.
Yes, so thank you for your question. And yeah, I agree that with your comment. And I think one of the more challenging is to when you introduce the new concept or new principle to the industry, so you need to kind of educate people. So we will try to organize a seminar workshop to raise awareness of the industry about the principle of the circular economy that, like Dr. Lee have mentioned about the 10R. So that's one of the first steps. So that's why we really need to have a platform for collaboration, so we can have many researcher or the industry stakeholder to join us, and then we can type the organize some more impactful seminar or training or workshop that can help to raise awareness of the industry. That I see that's the only way forward. Yeah.
True, indeed, indeed. Let me open the floor again, see if people have questions.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello. So, hi, my name is Wei Zhou, and I'm studying a PhD student in Purdue. So, I know the circular economy is about to keep the resource in the loop. My question is about, for example, if you want to recycle a type of material, while you need to spend more, for example, like a human resource to recycle that material. Do you think there is a conflict about that? Well, I know it will be fine when the labor is cheap, but when labor become like more expensive in the future, will there be a conflict about that, or do you have any strategy about that part? Thank you.
Maybe I will like share my thought first, and Dr. Sarajul or Dr. Lee or Dr. Rahimi, if you have any comment, please jump in. So in my personal view, that's one of the topic we want to look at, balancing the whole life cycle cost and the whole life carbon, or kind of like we need to look at the long-term benefit of the circular economy, because most of the option will have higher initial cost. So that's one of the reasons we propose that the question how to balance the cost versus the carbon, or the cost whole life cycle cost versus the whole life carbon of the option. That's my my thoughts. So Dr. Lee and Dr. Sarajul, if you want to share any idea, please unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, maybe I can just share a bit based on the question. It's a very good question. From my point of view, and also some research carried out, so it's true that the initial cost for CE may be higher, but if you think about more like the future, like the natural resources being extracted, so I think there's more worrying, because maybe the next 10 years or 20 years in future, then maybe the next generation cannot utilize the natural resources that we are enjoying now. So I think it's important for us to incorporate. But yes, I do agree with Dr. N that the balance between like the sustainable and also the costing is also will be the concern. Yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Wei, for a very nice question. Any other question coming up from the audience? You can just open your mic and ask a question. Right. Well, while you're thinking, let me pick that thread up a little bit. I had a very similar question to ask, and that is, Sarajul, you were talking about whole life cycle costing, and a very interesting research that you and your team are conducting. But the question that was coming to my mind was that, when we're talking about not only just whole life cycle costing, but when we're talking about circular economy and within that sustainability, it gets to be a little complex in the sense that, where are you drawing the circle? So when you say circular economy, do you include the part of the industry that are not directly related to construction, as in manufacturing and recycling of material, recreating construction elements that need to be manufactured. So there's more beyond the construction project that really needs to be engaged for it to be truly called circular economy. And correct me if I'm wrong there. So, the government needs to play a very strong role in the economy and the industry, other industries need to play a very important role. So my question is, in your efforts, how much of that integration is currently present? And what type of constraints do you see in the circular economy truly forming that loop of circular economy? I'm not sure if I'm clear, but what I'm saying is that in a circular economy, there are other industries that also play a role, including the government, to truly make it circular. And my question is, how much buy-in is there from the government, other sectors of the industry that really need to take the recycled material and make it available again for construction use in that circular economy?
I think in Malaysia, just I would like to share you the basic data of the circular economy. We just started at the initial stage. Okay, we just started at the initial stage. We have the policy, but in Malaysia, the policy, all policy is in detail, but in terms of the implementation, we give like a flexibility to the contractors, to the suppliers, to use the recycled materials. Okay, recycled materials, not a compulsory, because we also need to balance between the cost and also the relevancy of that particular material, because I think the government concerned in terms of the cost, and then the cost will be bear by the contractor and they transfer to the end user. Okay, this is the current practice in Malaysia.
Yeah, and anybody else wants to jump into that? Thank you, Sarajul. I think that is going to take time, and the concept of circular economy is excellent, and I think we need to promote that in terms of sustainability efforts. But for all entities that need to play a role in that, I think it's going to take some time before that happens. So I agree with you on that. Let me open the floor again for questions. Please open your mic and go ahead and ask your question. So, as we were discussing this, let me continue that conversation. So, you mentioned also about the PFI and the PPP models being used for infrastructure projects, right? In Malaysia. Now, the question that comes to my mind is that in a PPP model, the concessionaires are investing and also are looking at a good rate of return, right? So for the investment. So if the initial cost is high for using sustainable materials, or even because the circular economy is not really fully in place, so the initial cost of procuring sustainable material might be high, or recycled material might be high. So what is the buy-in from the concessionaires on these PPP projects in Malaysia for the whole life cycle costing or sustainability efforts? Sarajul, Yong, anybody?
Okay. So if I maybe try to answer a bit. Okay. Okay. So most of the time, in Malaysia, um, especially public projects. So it would be more to top down. Top down meaning that okay, so once the government they mandate it, then the concessionaires, then the contractors or any other parties that took the project, they will do it. So most of the time will be from the government. So I think it will be a bit different than the US. Maybe the US will be based on the market, or let's say based on, let's say for branding. We also have branding in Malaysia though. There are some buildings in Malaysia where, or some contractors, they want to go to to be a better brand, a better reputation. They will go into sustainability. Even let's say in Malaysia right now, we do not mandate building information modeling or BIM for private projects in Malaysia. But there are also private organizations in Malaysia. They still do BIM because of the benefit of it. So very similar to the US. So I think for the sustainability part too, it will be almost the same. But in Malaysia, with highways, road projects is under the government. So most of the time it will be a government mandate. I think based on the experience that I have based on BIM. So sustainability, maybe I'm not that into it, but I think that would be the same situation. Maybe, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions coming from the audience? You can just open your mic and ask questions. Well, I had a related question actually, which is that, you know, in your graph, you know, you were showing where you were comparing, you know, the break-even point and everything.
Yeah.
I also noticed that, you know, there was a increase in traffic over the years. And I think your break-even point, if I followed you correctly, was tied to the increase in traffic curve that you were observing. So my question was that did the concession agreement had to be changed, or was that already considered in the planning process?
Okay. You can see the traffic volume keep increasing. It's depend to the location of that particular private highway. Okay, the location of particular private highway. And in terms of the concession agreement, in the first agreement, they already clearly spell out they can increase based on the not the traffic, based on the year of the implementation. They will revise, okay, especially 5 years, 10 years, and maybe if based on the data, government also can extend the concession period to that particular private company. Okay.
Okay. So my related question was that I also noticed that the cost curve was going to zero after maybe 15 years, 20 years, in some cases, 25 years in other cases. What was the consideration there? Was that end of life at 25 or?
Okay, 25 is normally is the concession period, not end of life.
Yeah, that was the
Because
concession.
yes, concession period. One of the example, they already reached 30 years, but government agree to extend for another 10 years.
I see.
In order for them to maintain, to operate, and then the people satisfied with the performance of the particular highway, and then government extend based on the performance, their performance.
I see.
Okay.
Okay. That makes
Right.
sense.
Okay.
And you know, I noticed that you're a lot of good work that you and your team is doing, and I was looking at you know, your data collection methods, and I noticed that is it more based on webcam images that you're capturing to do data analytics, or?
No, the data, because in Malaysia, they need to submit the real data to the government, okay, monthly and yearly, okay, and then they need to submit based on the the recording when they pay the tolls, and then they can count how many cars, lorry, and the users of that particular highway when they pay the tolls, okay, using the card, the smart card.
I see. Okay.
Using the smart card, right?
So, we are almost running out of time, but maybe time for a few other questions, couple of questions. Do we have anything coming from the audience? Well, Dr. Rahimi, I had a question for you in your presentation. You were sharing data about students from different parts of the world that are part of your group and part of your department and university and so on. And the question that I frequently ask is, just as to benchmark, is as a percentage, how many international students do you see in your programs?
Okay, thank you, Professor Mark. Okay, for that, I think if based from programs to programs, but actually quite low, maybe because our university is a public university, and the focus is and also is a public technical university. So, for example, most of the international students, most of them, they will go to the research universities. For example, like University Technology Malaysia, like where Dr. Sarajul is. Ours is more on hands-on university, so most of them are local students, but maybe around, let's say maybe 1 to 5%, 1 to 5% from program to program. So not that much, but for postgraduate, yes, we have more, because our fees are much more lower compared to the other universities. So that's why we have more international students for the postgraduate rather than the undergraduate.
Okay. No, the reason I ask is because, as CIB is a global organization, and the number of students that are also participating in CIB activities, so they should know, where they can approach different faculty in different universities for further education. So, these seminars are recorded, as I mentioned, and they are viewed on YouTube by multiple viewers. So this is good information for them to know, where they can apply and for future studies and so on. So great, that was very nice. Dr. Lee, you jumped in, and I appreciate you taking time to talk about some of your research. I really enjoyed your 10R strategies. I think that's a good breakup for promoting sustainability and circular economy for sure. Now, again, the question that I had was very similar to what I've been trying to understand, is what is the buy-in from the government and the other sectors of the industry in pursuing those 10 R's? And second, do you have a metric or a scale that you recommend that companies can use to see where they stand, or how to determine whether to refuse, rethink, reduce, reuse, repair, refurbish, remanufacture, and so on? How to make that decision?
Okay, thank you, Professor Mark, for the questions. Okay, so currently we still under research, but for the governments, I think in terms of policy nowadays, I think for construction sector, not yet, but manufacturing sector, they are currently come out with the circular economy blueprint. where they introduce in the manufacturing sectors, where they come up with a lot of initiative, where actually the big company, the corporate can actually consider. So and also like what Prof. Sarajul mentioned. So now also the implementation of ESG in Malaysia is undergoing. So I believe that with this blueprint initiative and also the enforcement, the government policies, so I believe that the implementations of CE will getting better and better. So like the framework is actually the tools can actually assist government in making the policies. And okay, the next one is the integrations of strategies. I believe that it's not, I think the awareness is very important. It's not only some company they claim they use it, but they don't really understand the concept of CE. So it's important the educations and also the publications of the CE to everyone from top level until the down level, so that everyone educated and understand the importance of the CE, and then only they can really implement these 10R principles instead of the traditional we know about, like we always talk about recycling. But if we can see that some statistic, like for example, if you are talking about like H&M company, the manufacturing the t-shirt one, so they actually take away a lot of recycled t-shirt, but then at the same time they produce a new t-shirt a lot. So there's actually the contrary to what they are doing that. So yeah, I think the practice is very, very important. So maybe it takes time, but I think slowly and surely everyone will try to integrate these 10R principles where it can make the futures more sustainable. Yeah, so that's all. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Well, let me open the floor one last time for any pressing questions. All right, well, I always ask my last question, so let me throw in my last question. And that is that when we're talking about sustainability and circular economy, the question, particularly recycle and sustainable economy, circular economy, the question that comes that I've heard often being asked is the energy requirement in recycling and reuse. How does that compare to just buying a non-recycled, for that matter, product? And since you all are doing research in that area, do you have any thoughts on that subject, on that topic?
Maybe I can go first, and then if Dr. Rahimi, Dr. Lee, and Dr. Sarajul have other comment, please add. So from my point of view, that even with your previous question about like how to make decision about whether to to repair, to renovate, or to demolish, is still very challenging due to the lack of quality data. We don't have the kind of data on the performance of the existing building to help to make an informed decision for the whether to reuse or whether to demolish the component or the whole building. So for the circular economy principle, it's also on debate that the energy requirement for recycling or is still a challenge because we don't have kind of the quality data to help the stakeholder to make informed decision about it. So I think we need more time, with more case study to build up kind of the guideline or standard or benchmark for the industry to use in the future. So that's my point of view. Yes. And if other speaker have any comment, please.
Maybe I can add if others don't have to add. Okay, so I think this is where research, continuous research is needed. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Mark, to pointing that out. So I think, for example, we have solar panels. We use solar panels to create, let's say, we call it as green energy or renewable energy, compared to other sources, let's say, compared to carbon. But the issue is maybe after the life cycle ends for the solar panels, how are we going to recycle it? What's the impact of those solar panels towards the environment? So there, of course, there will be some cases where maybe it will be not that beneficial. I'm not saying that it's not beneficial, but some research saying that way. So that's why we need to do continuous research, especially together, to see what's the problem that is happening. For example, in some parts of the world, maybe renewable energy is always available, and to use the carbon footprint to use EV cars is lower towards compared to other countries. So some countries, they still use fossil fuel to generate energy, and maybe the carbon footprint for the EV is much more higher rather than using gasoline. So I think that's where we can work together to see what's the issue in different parts of the world, and then we try to address it, because in the end we will always try to improve and then optimize what we have based on the different situations. So I think that would be a continuous issue that need to be addressed.
Yeah, indeed.
My thoughts.
Indeed. Well, unfortunately, we have run out of time. And so I want to thank all of you again very much, all four of you, for taking time for, covering a broad area and a broad topic. And thanks for sharing your research, your efforts, and what is happening in the Asian countries with regard to circular economy, sustainability, and recycling. So let's give them a big round of applause. And, you can just open your mics or, virtually thank our speakers. So thank you again. I wish all of you a good weekend, and stay tuned for our next seminar next week. So thank you again.
Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much, Mark, for your invitation and having us today. It's such a pleasure for us. Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mark, Dr. N, Fikri, Dr. Sarajul, everyone. Thank you. Take care and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you for staying up all that late. Really appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.